So you may know me as Sean, the movie guy, but a lot of my friends know me as Sean, that guy who goes to New York every year and sees like 10 Broadway musicals in a week. And so for those people, I want to say that my worlds have coalesced here because this week we have a Broadway award-winning musical coming to the movie theater for 5 nights only. Hey everybody, I'm Sean, the Broadway guy, and today we're going to talk about Hadestown, the musical, in theaters.
Once upon a time there was a railroad line. There was a poor boy working on a sign. There was a road to hell. It was hard times. It was the world of God. And man,
Hadestown is based on the Greek myth of Orpheus and Eurydice. He's the poet slash singer whose love is taken away after she dies. She goes down to the underworld, and Orpheus decides to go to Hades and play his song and try and convince the king of the underworld, Hades, to release his lady love and let him bring her back to the living world. Now, if you remember your Greek mythology, things do not go smoothly, but that's kind of the fun of this story. Additionally, this is the story of King Hades and his wife Persephone, who is the daughter of the goddess Demeter. And it's the story of their love story, their marriage, which is not doing as well as the love story of the young lovers, Orpheus and Eurydice. So this is the recording of the Broadway play with all the original cast members, I guess most of them. And, I got to tell you, when people come to me and they say, hey, Sean, I'm going to be in New York for a couple of days. I want to see a show. What do you suggest? This is my go-to suggestion because it's a classic Broadway musical with a great story, great performances, and really good music. And it won a lot of Tony Awards as well, too. So if you're someone who wants to get a little taste of Broadway without having to pay those high Broadway ticket prices, hey, look, this is a great show to check out. I mean, look, it won Tony Awards for Best Musical, Best Original Score, Best Performance by an Actor in a Featured Role, Best Scenic Design, Best Lighting Design, Best Sound Design, Best Direction, Best Orchestrations. I mean, it just won all the Tony Awards, and I think it continues to be one of the best plays on Broadway today. So what makes this one so good? Well, I think first and foremost, it's the story. Yes, it's a classical Greek myth, but it doesn't feel like it's an old myth. I mean, yeah, it was written 2,800 years ago, I guess, but it's a love story. And love stories are timeless. And so it's Orpheus and Eurydice, played by Reeve Carney and Ava Noblezada. And they're so in love, but stuff happens and she thinks that he has forgotten her. And so she ends up dying and going to Hades. And so Reeve has to prove his love to her and go down and try and rescue her. That's a classic story. But like I said, it's also the story of Persephone and King Hades. That's Amber Gray and Patrick Page. They're an old married couple and things have soured on their relationship. And this is kind of also the story of how they get their mojo back a little bit as well. So obviously all these great characters, I mean, those are the four main ones. But I tell you, we also get the Fates, who serve as a Greek chorus because, well, they're a chorus and this is a Greek myth, so of course they're a Greek chorus, but especially Andre Shields, who is the Tony Award winning Best Actor in this thing. He plays Hermes. He's the narrator. He is so much fun. His enthusiasm, his infectious performance here just makes this really a lot of fun to see. Now, visually, Hadestown is also quite wonderful. I'm not sure that I think it's going to come across with the same effect in the movie as it does on stage, because on the stage you get like this smoke, seeping into the audience here. But it's really kind of a great use of a set. It's got these swinging chandeliers, got lots of smoke rising from the underground. The whole set is set up like a train station in New Orleans. In fact, the whole thing has kind of a jazz club vibe to it, and I just think it visually looks quite stunning. But the thing I like most about Hadestown is the music, that jazz-inspired score. Look, it starts off with the trombone player laying down a beat. I mean, that's so cool. And then all the actors come in and join it. It's got some memorable music, some very memorable songs. I think the music is the thing that really gets people because it doesn't sound like your traditional Broadway show. It sounds like something coming out of New Orleans, and I think it's just really quite special. And like I say, when people ask me what show should I go see, I send them to Hadestown because it's got all the Broadway show elements, the great scenic design, the great performances, the great music, but it doesn't feel like an old-timey Broadway show where people are going to break into a tap dance number at any time. There's no tap dancing in this show here. It's just a wonderful thing. I have, like I said, I've sent like 5 or 6 people to New York to go see this show in particular, and every single one of them has said, oh my goodness, that was one of my favorite shows I've ever seen. So do yourself a favor, check out Hadestown. And I will point out, Hadestown is in movie theaters, but for 5 nights only. So if you want to see it, don't wait. It's not going to be there in a couple of weeks. I mean, nothing's going to be there in a couple of weeks. Spider-Man will be coming out here. But check out Hadestown. I think it's really, really quite a special night at the movies. Okay, thank you for joining me for this weird little review, because it's a movie/musical. It's kind of a hybrid review here, but like I said, I love this thing. But thank you for subscribing to my channel so you get my reviews just as soon as they drop. And of course, check out the podcast every week. My friend Joe Fryer and I get together and we chat about all of the week's big new movies. Just search for Two Movie Guys wherever you get your podcasts. Okay, we are in a weird time in between Spider-Man and the Odyssey here. There's not a lot of big movies being released this week, but there is one that I think is worth checking out. We'll talk about Motor City coming up next. Bye.